Fred here, welcome back to the Gear Obsession channel, and I'm here to tell you that GearBest has fidget spinners. In this video I reviewed 6 fidget spinners, and I'm going to tell you my favorite 2. We're also going to talk about what a fidget spinner is, what's inside it, its origins, its history, and what it is and what it isn't. A fidget spinner is a toy that consists of a bearing that's inside the center, and I'll go ahead and just show you what a bearing looks like. There you go. And that bearing is usually in the center, and it could be ceramic or metal, and there could be a liner in there or no liner, sort of holding all of those together. And you know, and the quality will vary. And some will spin really good for a long time, and some will not. And they can be made of different materials, like this one, which is one of my favorite, is made of brass, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lobes. And if you want to take out some, you could actually unscrew some of them and go down to 3 or 2. So this one is kind of nice and flexible, and if you're someone in the Navy like me, it's made of brass, so you can polish it, make it all shiny. Here is a very typical 3-lobe, probably your most common. This one is made out of 2 different types of metal. And by the way, this is my longest spinning one. And here's the most common ones that you'll see in Walmart and your big box stores. Ones just like this. This guy here has slightly better ceramic bearings as opposed to this one. But very typical. Then you have ones that are styled after, like this one. It sort of looks like the Batman symbol, and it only has 2 lobes, and it's plastic. Some will actually have more or extra sort of bearings or whatever out here on the other end. They do nothing. They're just there for weight distribution, put some mass out there on the end to keep things spinning more. Because if you didn't have that weight out there, you would have less mass, therefore less energy out here. So wind resistance or air resistance would slow it down a lot more. So the more weight you have out there, the more it helps keep that spinning. And here's a neat one that's made out of aluminum. It's very lightweight, very small, 3-lobe, normal design, but it has lights built into it. So when you bang it, and you can see this one, too light, you gotta like bang it really hard to get all 3, which is why I'm not recommending this one, unless you don't mind banging it really hard. But it has a neat little light thing there. And supposedly, in the instructions or whatever, it says that you can go in there and change the batteries. And if you look really close, you might be able to see the battery down there along with the LED. And there's like a little contact that when it impacts it, it makes contact, it touches, it starts the circuitry up to sort of get it going. So it's kind of neat. This one, I just don't like how you got to really whack it really hard to get all 3 to work. If you do it lightly, only 1 will light or 2 will light. It's not consistent. Although it does spin really good. I would say out of all of these, it will spin like about the 3rd best as far as spinning out there for a while. So it does not do it. And it's very well balanced. You can see here, there's no shaking back and forth. It spins really good, so the bearings and everything is nice and balanced really good. And then when I review these things, I look at some of them very important things, like how long each one spins. And out of these, this one, which is my second link in the description box below, is the rotating EDC figure gyro tri fidget spinner, and it runs $12.50 off of GearBest, and it spins the longest. Giving you an exact time of how long it spins is sort of bogus because each one is going to be different. But you can see it's pretty well balanced. There's almost no shake, and it just keeps on going and going and going. And it's very important that they're balanced really good, because if they're not, they will sort of shake. Like this one, sort of, and why I don't recommend it, it does have a slight wobble, which makes it hard to balance it on your finger while it's spinning. And also, see this little flat here? It's flat. It's not indented, you know, sort of concave. If it's concave, it helps sort of keep it on your finger. Now if you're a pro, maybe that flat is what you want, but if you're just a normal person like me, you know, I want that because it helps keep it on the finger. And then with all that weight out there spinning, it has a gyroscopic effect where it helps it stay level, wants to stay level. And when you sort of tip it like this, you can actually feel it resist, kind of cool. So that's kind of important. Another important thing is, do you want it to be able to come apart? You saw how I was able to unscrew these things. I could actually go in there and change out that bearing if I wanted to. And again, these multi-lobe ones where you can unscrew them give you a lot of flexibility. This one is my favorite, even though it's the second longest spinner, and it's the pure copper hexagon detachable hand spinner. To me, it looks brass, not copper, so I'm not sure about that, but I love it. I mean, I really love this spinner. It is perfectly balanced. You can see there's no shake there, and it goes on, and it's smooth, it's quiet. I really like it. So, let's talk about history. In 1993, a patent was issued to Catherine Hettinger. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. She was a chemical engineer, is a chemical engineer by training, and for most stories credit her as being the inventor of the fidget spinner. However, the patent was lapsed in 2005, and then everybody just freely made it without giving her any money. She didn't renew it or anything. Then there was an interview on NPR in 2017 where a dude named Scott McCastry described how he invented the metal spinning device in 2014 to cope with his own fidgeting in IT meetings, and I can relate to this, and in conference calls. Have you sat in a conference call or an IT meeting where they're talking and blah, 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 and you start, you know, messing around with your pencil or pen, which is your original fidget? You know what I mean? You just sit there with a pencil in a meeting. This is the original fidget device. As a matter of fact, they do have pens with weights on the end made for exactly that. Anyway, he said how he invented it, and in 2014 to cope with IT meetings and conferences. IT is information technology, by the way, computer crap. And it was in response to a request online community that he began selling his own devices called the Torque Bar online. You go to Torque Bar online, and he claims to be the original there. So, little bit confusing as far as who invented them or whatever. It doesn't matter. Everybody's making them. I don't think there's any patent infringement. Everybody's going to make these things. Peak popularity. Well, like with most things on my channel, I am not on the cutting edge, so it took me a long time to get around to doing these videos because I like to let things settle down and land where they may so I can make a more informed video, because right away people say that these things are made for people with ADD, attention deficit, or whatever, or people who have autism. That's what I'm trying to think of. And in some cases, it may actually help. Like I was talking to somebody who knows somebody else who has autism, and they actually sat there and would spin Matchbox cars or spin things all the time. So here's a device that specifically does that. So these claims have no medical studies behind them. There's nothing saying that this is true, but everybody's claiming this. And schools are having to deal with this because this is like the latest craze. Kids are bringing all these things to school, and teachers can interpret these things as distractions, which they can. Kids being kids, they can throw them at each other. You know, that's a pretty harsh detraction. But on the other hand, it might keep kids sort of occupied with that excessive energy that most kids have, so they're doing this instead of mischief, you know, or tapping their fingers, or tapping the chair behind them or in front of them, or doing all kinds of things. Then just let them spin this. But I personally feel it's on a case by case basis. It all depends on the person, because some people can't walk and chew gum at the same time. So if they're doing this, they're utilizing brain cells to give this thing attention, and then they're not giving enough attention to the things that they need to be working on. On the other hand, a lot of people are very good at multitasking, and this is natural and reflexive. You know, it doesn't require any gross motor skills. It's just happening, and it's keeping them occupied. And if their mind was going 1,000 miles an hour and they're not doing something, they might be doing something bad or something that's less desirable. So, you know, take that for what it is. I'm making no claims, and I'm here to tell you that anybody else who's making claims about these things, have them show you the science and the studies, because I have not really seen any long-term study about these things, so everything's just a claim. So what do I do with a fidget spinner? Well, just like what's his name, Scott, I sit at IT meetings, you know, and conferences, and I am bored to death. Some of them I can't have a cell phone, but I can have this. And if I have my cell phone, you know, there's cell phone apps that are spinners too, which I discovered. But I'm going to bring my two favorite here, and again, the links are below. What I do is I just have them in my hand and I spin them, and I just use this finger and spin. I might balance a little bit. Some people are skilled enough to sort of toss them and have it land perfectly on another finger and do some tricks. I do not have that skill. I just want to spin and balance maybe on one finger. So balance is important to me, and having it spin a long time, and, you know, just doing this, or just coming to this hand, doing it with the left hand. And interestingly enough, one of the things I have discovered is I'm sitting in front of a computer, and let's say I'm doing some patches and updates and everything, so it requires me to wait a little bit, and I might be messing around with this. When I go to type after, I feel like, I'm sorry about that, I feel like I'm typing better and typing a little faster, like it improved my dexterity in some way. I'm not saying that as a fact. I'm just saying that's the way it feels. I haven't done a amount of letters per minute typing skills, but I feel like I can type better after messing around with this for a little bit. Whether that's true or not, or whether it's applicable to everybody or not, I don't know. But this is really all I do with these fidget spinners. You could click it here with this finger or this finger. I could shift it to this one and then sort of go each way. Some different shapes will allow you to do different things. Like this common shape makes it easy for me to just do this both ways, just like that. Or I'll shift fingers and just sort of do that, or just do that. There's also some with no lobes, by the way. You know, I gave a rough description of the most common. There are some, like someone showed me one from BMW, where it's just a perfect circle, so you really can't scoot it off with one finger very well. It's really a two-hand job. That sounds terrible, but you know, there are some, and there's some with gears and all kinds of fancy stuff, and I just gave the basic description. Look how long this one spins. It is amazing, and I like how it's like two pieces of metal screwed together with the metal weights right there, whereas the other more common ones just put extra bearings out there. This one, you know, I bought, and it was supposed to have like ceramic, and I thought it was titanium, but actually the titanium was not titanium. It was just some other thing in the name, and I inserted it for some reason in my head and thought there was titanium involved. But you know, you see how the light's reflecting. You can see it's slightly off balance there. This one I did not buy from GearBest, by the way. There's a T on there. What was the name of that? Tritium, because I thought it would actually have, I don't know why I thought it says titanium when I bought it, thinking it was better than the common Walmart one, and it wasn't. Some people may want to open these guys up. Some, again, just pop off, and you can see there's a sleeve that's holding the bearings in this one. And I put some oil in it, and it immediately slowed up, because I guess it created more resistance, so it didn't spin as long, but it felt smoother. And then I stuck a tissue down in there and tried to get up all the excess oil. and then it's speeded back up again. So, you know, your mileage may vary depending if you oil these or not. You might not want to oil them. I would not oil them until they started wearing out, and then if it's getting very noisy, maybe it would be a good idea, but you're probably not going to be improving the speed at all doing that. And again, bearings vary. You know, I said sleeves. Some have sleeves, some don't. Some have ceramic bearings, some have stainless steel or different materials. All depends. So 3 links are below. The first one is this guy. The second one is this one. So let me see. This one was how much? This guy was $11.16. My favorite. I love the weight. Speaking of weight, remember I told you that weight sort of helps improve speed. I mean, time, the amount of time spinning. Let's go ahead and, this is like the longest fidget spinner review I've ever done. Can't believe I still had the plastic on my scale. This guy weighs about 2.5 ounces. Helps if I show you. 2.5 ounces. This one is pretty damn heavy. Almost 2.6 ounces. So, some people don't want something so heavy because when it drops, it's like kaboom! You want something lighter. This guy is so light. Let me, again, I don't recommend this because the lights don't work right, and I don't know, like they say the batteries can change, but I do not know. These don't spin, and the lights don't consistently light up all at once, and I don't know how to get those batteries changed. So I don't know what happens when the batteries wear, how to change them, even though it says they're changeable. Very lightweight because it's only aluminum, 1.3 ounces. So when it hits the floor, when you inevitably drop these things, it's not going to be as loud a kaboom. But very smooth and very well balanced. So you might be interested. And again, all these are on GearBest. Look how it actually. If it didn't have the light thing, I would recommend it. A lot. Really, probably one of the smoothest ones. Sometimes you could adjust these guys a little bit, tighten, loosen the grip on the bearings. Like, let me open this guy up again. Just like I said, you could take the bearing out. You just get a tool and you unscrew these things, and sometimes these can move the slightest little bit inside the bearings, and you could maybe adjust it if it's out of balance, or maybe tightening and loosening can make it slow down or speed up. So now these type right here, not the snap-on snap-off ones, but the kind that screw in, these things can get loose sometimes, so you might want to apply some Loctite on it if you don't plan on taking it off. Just use the temporary Loctite if you know it does keep on coming apart on you. This one, if I give a reasonable amount of torque and turn, it's not going to come loose by itself. These things that unscrew here, I have gotten loose before because I'll sit there and do stupid stuff, fidgeting. But again, some Loctite on there can lock things down. But I like the option. And you'll see, because I provided another link, if you go down in the description box, just a little more on all the fidget spinners that GearBest got. And you can just go and look. And again, it's hard to say and recommend a specific one and not, because you could get, someone could get one and someone else could get the same exact one, and they could have a totally different experience because there's a lot of subjectivity in what they want in a spinner as far as weight and balance and design and materials. And it's not a perfect manufacturing process. Some will come out really balanced, really nice, and some won't. Even when I was going through the ones in Walmart, which is this guy, I was picking up and trying different ones, and some were gritty and loud, and some were smooth right out of the box, some were very finely balanced, and some weren't. So this one I actually, did a little oiling and then drying and cleaning. This is my oldest one, and I had picked it up at Walmart, and it was my first experience in fidget spinners. Pretty neat. It's so weird when it's spinning really fast, especially the heavy ones, and it resists when you're flipping it. It's so weird. I kind of like it. It's like it's like a gyro. It wants to stay in its current state. It doesn't want to be tipped when it's spinning with all that weight out there. There's a scientific name for that. This is so lightweight. This one, see how it's wobbling? That's why I'm not recommending this one. And I don't know if it's because, I don't know, but it's wobbling and it comes off your finger too easy. And you could hear, kind of noisy and gritty. I don't know if it's smoother if I change where my finger is on here or not. Whoops, see, that's what I'm talking about because it's wobbling. Some will come in fancy tins, like this one. See that? This is the Gyro Tri Fidget, the second link. Came in this nice case, so it makes a nice gift. This guy came in a tin also, right there, like that. All the other ones, they come in a bag, or some will come in a box. This is obviously the Batman one that flew somewhere. So like I said, I'm not on the cutting edge. Lots of videos about fidget spinners, and I have a note here that said that an article in 538 declared that fidget spinners are over, and they had or at least the Google searches, and I think I put a graph up there, show that based on searches and sales and everything, it's on the decline. It's already met the hump in mid-May or June, and now these things are sort of on the decline. So they peaked. So unless somebody's going to do something different with it, I think that if companies are smart, maybe when they have their tech shows or whatever, they could brand them with their company name and give them out as gifts, or just give these out as gifts, things like that, sort of promotional items. They're great for things like that. But I think as far as the amount that these things are selling, they peaked and now they're going to decline. But I think they'll always be around. And also, there's going to be some really high-end ones out there made by companies that have fancy CNC equipment. Like I bet you knife companies, gun companies that have equipment that can build very precise quality parts have an opportunity to make some very nice high-end ones, and I'm sure they are. I've actually seen a cell phone case have a fidget spinner built in. I hope gun companies do not put them on their guns. Knife companies don't put them on their knives, because there could be problems with that. So hopefully they'll keep it sane. But lots of opportunities for these things, but they've peaked. So check them out. GearBest got a lot of them. They're very inexpensive, and I like them personally. I'm sitting there in meetings, and it might sort of be a distraction to other people, so try to respect other people. Don't like in their face, you know, keep it down low or whatever. Maybe in a serious meeting, maybe under the table, and you know, don't be distracted by it, because then it's not doing what it's claiming to do. So take that for what it is. GearBest, many of them, some of the cheapest prices out there. Check it out. All the links are below. Alright, thank you very much for joining me in the Gear Obsession channel. I really appreciate every friend, viewer, subscriber, and especially you. And I hope you have a great day or evening. Take care. Bye.